Good day, everyone. You're watching the NOGG Talk Show. My name is Adetunji Omotola, and I'm your presenter today. We have with us a gentleman who will be co-hosting with me, and his name is Eseyoma. Jay is the founder of NOGG. Welcome to the NOGG Talk Show, Jay.
Thank you very much for the
You're very
privilege.
welcome. Now, before we start, let me introduce the NOGG platform. Now, NOGG stands for New Organization for Good Governance in Nigeria. It's a non-profit organization tailored to draw attention to government weaknesses and building relationships that can help improve governance. But over and above that, NOGG is also looking at Africa, because as we know, many countries in Africa are still suffering from poor, good governance. And of course, our topic today, first of all, is Youth Month in South Africa, so we congratulate everyone in South Africa and we wish them a happy Youth Month. And today we're going to go straight to it. Our topic today is xenophobia. And of course, Jay and I will be talking, we'll be having a debate around the issues that cause xenophobia. And we'll be asking ourselves, why is xenophobia so common these days in South Africa, that it recurs so many times? And also we'll be asking, what is the government doing about it? Is the government doing anything about xenophobia? And also questions around the victims. Are the victims really looked after? So for us to even begin to unpack the issue, Jay, in your view, what's the definition? Can you offer us a definition for xenophobia?
From a layman view, I think xenophobia will be the dislike of foreigners in a geographical place. Yes, which means people that are not originally from that particular place, country, or however you want to name it. So
Right.
that is the layman view of what xenophobia is all about.
Right.
Yes.
So, going to this issue, I mean, since the beginning of 1994, when South Africa became independent, one man, one vote, free country,
Yes.
Nelson Mandela came to power, we've seen that there's been a recurring attacks on foreign nationals.
Yes.
Of African, the black skin type. What do you think is fueling this kind of hatred towards foreign nationals against the backdrop of the kind of support? If you look at the support. So I want you to respond to the what, but looking at the fact that many African countries were very supportive of this destruction of apartheid. What do you think is fueling this resentment, in your view?
It's such a confusing scenario. I mean, to think that, having defined the word xenophobia, which is the dislike for foreigners, then you look at it from a broader perspective. Then you say, who is a foreigner? Because in a literally term, foreigner is supposed to be anybody that comes from another place that you're not familiar with.
Me say these foreigners must go and come back legally.
Having said that, when you look at this particular case of xenophobia, then it kind of dismantled the definition itself, because now we have a case where black Africans are attacking black Africans.
What happens if they don't go?
If they don't go, they will get a piece of this, and their shops will be looted.
But I'm also a foreigner in your country. I'm British and I'm working in your country.
Yes.
Does that mean you'd attack me?
No, because you are not doing the bad things.
But there's some kind of a preference given to people from other race, like the Indians.
Well, how do you respond to those who say that the Africans or the black Africans are swamping the country, they're committing crime, they're marrying people with fake passports, they're undocumented, some of them are selling drugs in Yaupe? How do you respond to their comments?
What kind of thing is that? Is it what Nelson Mandela worked for? Is it what all the activists work for?
Taking our women away, now they're making us run in the streets. Yeah. We're gonna shire them. Everyone, not let this happen. We'll do something about this.
Which wives? My wife is a Nigerian. So what type of taking your wives? Talking about jobs. I got company, I got shops, and 10 South Africans are working for me. So they should be very, very happy that I'm here.
Do you think if we take out these said foreigners, the problem of yaope and drugs will be eradicated?
Tell us.
That's what we must look at first
But
before
you must tell us,
we
what
point
do you
these
think?
fingers. I don't think that specifically removing a certain group of people who have been stereotyped to be responsible for these issues would really eradicate the problem.
But is it true though?
I think this
that they are
statement is
committing this offenses?
over exaggerated.
Right.
Hence, I'm going further to say, do you think that if we remove this particular stereotyped group, the problem will be solved? Because I'm looking at it from a perspective that even if you take away this stereotyped or group of people who have been acclaimed to be identified to be responsible for these problems, the problem will not go away. Because if you look at it from a global context, these issues are everywhere.
Okay.
So who is
But can I then
responsible
say
for
this?
the
Can I
problem
then
everywhere?
Can I then play this tone? There's my own take on some of these issues because it's come up before.
Yes.
And former President Zuma spoke about the fact that if African leaders were managing their countries better, that there wouldn't be this exodus of people coming and swamping South Africa. And I think at that time maybe it was a veiled attack on countries like Zimbabwe, where we had seen a lot of crisis in terms of the democratic space. You remember the beating, the merciless beating of the late Morgan Shangirai.
Oh, terrible. Terrible. It was a horrible assault. Well, it was a violent, sadist attack on defenseless people.
Yes.
Who was beaten by the police, and there was an imagery of him with a bandaged head, shaved head, bandage, torn shirt, and that was the leader of opposition. So, in my own assessment, what I've done in terms of research the last 15 years, I believe there's a link between xenophobia and poor governance in many African countries. In Somalia, is more or less a failed state. Burkina Faso, one president for 27 years in Blair Compaore. In Liberia, George Weah has just taken over power. Now there's a running battle with him that is very corrupt. In Togo, one leader for 38 years, the son has taken over. The rights of the citizens have been curtailed. The protests have been crushed by an army that is practically a military government in Togo, because the former president was a military coupist.
That's
he
right.
came to power twice. He did a coup, one against Olympio and the second one against Nicholas Grunitzky. So I believe that, in my own view, if we can have better managed African economies, leaders who stay in office for maybe a maximum of 20 years, let's say, we give them a lot of leeway to rule. Like in Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew, he ruled for a long time. So he was able to have the space to govern properly.
Yes.
But I suspect that if we can have better leaders, this is my view, we will reduce the impact or what we see, the recurring decimal of Africans running away either through the Mediterranean, trying to get to Europe, or coming to South Africa, because I think South Africa is attractive for not only African migrants, but also European migrants, as we've seen in Cape Town.
Yes.
The only painful thing is that it's poor African blacks, mostly in the informal townships, informal settlements and townships that are really the victims in all of this. What do you see as, how do you respond to that?
Being the founder of my organization, which is its primary objective is to see that governance improve in Africa, as a whole. And why are we interested in the whole of Africa instead of just Nigeria, where I came from? I have taken time to look at the bigger picture. And one time I asked myself, why is the West interested in giving financial aid to Africa? Then I realized that they are doing it not just for the formality of it, not just to make themselves look like they're the big brothers, but they're trying to curb a situation, which is the human migration, the economic migration, which has in the past years put huge pressure on the West. Even before the 70s and 80s, those things has happened. And then I think group of people in the West sat down and think, how do we lock them in their...
But are they locking them in?
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to tell you why my vision is broader than the country where I came from. So now, looking at the case of this xenophobia, with the influx of people trying to seek better livelihood in a specific country within the continent, is the fact that the governance or the government of the various countries where this influx is coming from, there's a problem there. And until those problems are solved, we will continue to have this human migration.